Hey guys, I hope you've been enjoying our workshop so far. I recommend that you review back through what we've been teaching on over the past couple weeks. Remember the 7 compasses and the FED tool? Hope you guys have been able to use that as random things have popped up over the past couple weeks. I'm real big on not allowing your issues anywhere to hide. And so I'm going to show you a real cool way of tracking it throughout various pathways that we have in our relationships. This next way of charting came from a counseling situation I had with a couple I was meeting with. They had several different issues they wanted to work through, and in particular, they wanted to really focus on their ability to enhance their oneness. They want to be able to come together without conflict, be able to come together and be on the same page and really do life from that place of power, of their oneness with each other and their oneness with the Lord. Now, some of you guys may be thinking, well, I'm not married, or I'm divorced, or whatever. I'm not assuming that everybody that's taking this course is married. There are ways to use this chart, regardless of whatever you're married, single, divorced, or whatever your status is. Whenever I'm with a chart in front of a camera, I feel like Bob Ross. Isn't this kind of funny? We're going to be drawing little happy charts together. So when I met with the couple, what I did is I drew out a chart that I'm sure you guys have seen many times. And that is, we're in relationship with God, ourself, and the other person. And in this case, it was a husband and a wife. And I took this simple chart here and I put it in front of them. I said, I want you to do something for me. I want you to take another pen. I want you to draw the walls. Where are the walls? Where is there good flow in the relationship? And where is there some things that aren't firing on all cylinders? Where are the problems? And sure enough, they did that. If you're single, you may be drawing in, you can write in myself and then put a little question mark for whoever that mystery person is going to be. Only the Lord knows. If you're divorced, you can write yourself in here. And what I would recommend is putting in your ex right here. I was sharing this with someone who was divorced not that long ago, and they were like, well, good grief, why in the world would I be interested in what this appears to be marriage content? Why would I be interested in that? Well, I was thinking, well, number one, you're hoping to be married again someday, I'm sure. Number two, let me ask you this. Do you ever have, conversations going on in your head with your ex over, finances, over your physical or sex life, or over recreation, or over how things were managed in the home, or communication? Do you ever find yourself having ongoing conversations in your head with your spouse, even though they're not here? And the person was like, oh my gosh, yes. I'm like, okay, well, there are your red flags to look for having conversations with the Lord to have healing. If you're following along on this chart on the next piece of paper, you can put you over here and your spouse over here, you or a little question mark, or you and your ex, or it could be you and a parent. It's whatever relationship the Lord's drawn to your attention of, hey, we need to do some work here. And after you do this, you can get another sheet of paper and do it again with another relationship. I'm not locking you into anything. Let's just keep it simple. We're going to work with the husband and wife right now. As I was working with this diagram, it occurred to me that it wasn't just one pathway between a husband and wife where some things were really good and some had difficulties. Some of the pathways were a little rocky or a little blocked, or there was a good standoff going on in there. And as we explored this together, we found out that there was about 7 pathways. I'm just going to draw that to represent that there are several pathways here. And so how we're going to be spending the rest of our time together is we're going to be looking at what are the walls on this pathway? Is this pathway good? That sort of thing. And you kind of evaluate that and let the Lord speak to that. Before we get into these pathways here on this playing field, let's take a look at what's really going on between ourselves and the Lord. Because if we don't take care of these issues don't stand a chance. And sure enough, we found out that there were 7 paths here as well. Now, I'm sure anybody could, unpack these pathways differently, come up with a different list or what have you. These are just the lists and paths that I found to be very helpful whenever working with others. These pathways between you and the Lord are opportunities for trusting and valuing God. In any of these pathways, if you're not trusting and valuing God, there's going to be resistance there. There's going to be a wall. Any of these pathways between you and your spouse, or you and your parent, or you and your child, or you and your ex, or you and your whomever, if there are areas of distrust, if there are areas of devaluing, walls are going to be there. If there are areas where you're dealing with it in your own strength or in the flesh, or coming from a place of neediness, or dealing with past issues along these pathways, there's going to be walls. So here's the list of the different pathways that we're going to be covering over the next couple of weeks. For you and the Lord, it starts with this:
trusting and valuing God for communication and correction, for belonging and identity, availability and ownership, as my healer, challenger, and sanctifier, as my need meter and jealous lover, as my peacemaker, and as my promise keeper.
For you and the other person, it'll be these:
trusting and valuing each other in conflict and communication, with emotional needs, with finances, in roles and responsibilities, in spiritual growth, in recreation, physically, and for those who are married, sexual life.
Before we jump into all that in the coming weeks, I want to show you a real handy way for really digging into each of these pathways and exploring what are the issues, where are the areas that are just tearing me up. Sometimes these issues are in blind spots, but thank you, Jesus, He gave me a fantastic tool for seeing what's really happening there. And again, these came out of conversations with working with clients. So I know it works. This is stuff that came out of being in the trenches of helping people beat their issues.